Welcome to a special episode of the Reliability Matters podcast. This podcast is all about SMTAI, Surface Mount Technology International, taking place October 19th through 23rd at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois. SMTA International is the premier gathering for innovation and collaboration in electronics assembly, surface mount technology, and advanced manufacturing. This year, SMTAI is more than just a conference and expo. It's an opportunity for experts, newcomers, industry leaders, and rising professionals to come together, exchange ideas, showcase breakthroughs, and shape the future of electronics manufacturing. Over several days, you'll see deep technical sessions, the latest research, hands-on exhibits, and co-located with the assembly show, you can expect a bustling expo floor where solution providers and attendees connect on everything from process optimization to next-generation materials. But before we dive into the technical tracks, I want to highlight one of the most exciting parts of SMTAI, the special events. These are the moments that transform a great conference into an unforgettable experience where relationships are made, leadership is inspired, and careers get a boost. At SMTAI, there's something for everyone, whether you're a senior engineer, a student, a young professional, or someone interested in leadership and industry trends. Here are a few of the highlights. The AME morning keynote kicks off with electrochemical additive manufacturing, advancing scalable high-performance electronics for next-generation applications, presented by Michael Matthews of Fabricate Labs Incorporated. The Women's Leadership Program celebrates and empowers women in electronics manufacturing, ending with the annual Connection reception. The Electronics Manufacturing and Assembly Collaborative, or EMAC, will host a session focused on building benchmarks for the future workforce. The Seventh Innings Social offers a fun and relaxed way to start networking with peers. There's also a keynote entitled The Competitive Edge by Joanna Cooper, General Manager at Daimler Truck North America, and it will bring fresh perspectives on innovation, AI, agility, and culture. The Passport program gives newcomers and young professionals a way to explore the expo floor and build connections. The Bright Manufacturing Challenge showcases student innovation in real-world robotic missions. Interactive poster sessions allow students and experts to share new research and engage directly with attendees. The NextGen 10 program recognizes emerging leaders and helps launch their visibility and confidence. The Officers Meeting and Social builds community among chapter leaders and volunteers. And, of course, what October would be complete without Oktoberfest? The Oktoberfest networking reception provides a casual space to connect at the end of the day. The NextGen Connect brings together attendees under 40 in a relaxed, peer-focused setting. Every one of these events is built with purpose. They create networking opportunities where you'll meet future collaborators, potential employers, mentors, and suppliers. They support career development through recognition, mentorship, and skills. They strengthen community by giving participants ways to contribute through education and leadership. They provide inspiration through keynotes and challenges. And yes, they create fun and memorable moments that restore energy and build lasting relationships. So as you can see, SMTAI isn't just about learning, it's about belonging, growing, and shaping the future together. Now, on to the technical conference. SMTAI 2025 features 10 half-day professional development courses. Half-day educational courses are led by internationally respected professionals with extensive expertise in this subject area. Course instructors deliver focused, in-depth presentations on topics of current importance to the industry based on their research and industry experience. Professional development courses are application-oriented and structured to combine field experience with scientific research to solve everyday problems. All courses are scheduled as live, in-person classes. And a shameless plug, I'll be the course instructor for a comprehensive guide to cleaning in the age of no clean flux, Monday, October 20th, beginning at 8:30 a.m. There are also about 100 technical presentations across 6 tracks: Advanced Packaging, or the APT track, Additively Manufactured Electronics, the AME track, Low Temperature Solder, LTS track, Manufacturing for Excellence, the MFX track, Reliability and Harsh Environments, the RHE track, Test and Inspection, INS track, and the Women's Leadership Program WLP track. To talk more about the technical conference, I've invited members of the conference committee to share some highlights of the conference. Tony Lentz from FCT Assembly, Gail Towell from Ames Solder, Tom Revere from Lockheed Martin, Maurice Dorr from Vallejo, Kelly Flanagan from Rockwell, and although not a member of the technical committee, but a member of the SMTA Global Board of Directors and chair of the Students and Young Professionals, or SYP committee, Dr. Adam Klett of Kaizen Corporation. I'll bring our panel on stage when I return in just a moment. Stick around.
Welcome to Reliability Matters, a podcast for the electronic assembly industry. Each episode covers topics related to reliability, best practices, and environmentally responsible assembly techniques, with insights from experts across the electronic assembly industry. Now, here's your host, Mike Conrad.
Welcome, very large panel. Adam, Tony, Gail, Tom, Maurice, or Moss, and Kelly. Thank you all so much for being voluntold, for being here today. I approached each one of you. My favorite was I saw Kelly at a conference recently, and I said, "Hey, your name was brought up to be on the show." And she goes, "Really? Okay." So anyway, no one came. No one asked to do this. They were all asked to do this, and I'm so grateful all of you have agreed. So,
can I just say one thing?
Yeah,
Mike, real quick.
Yeah.
I've been listening to this podcast for many years, and this is truly an honor to be.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Speaking here with you today.
Well, we're just going to talk to. Okay, everyone else can go. I'm just going to talk to Tom. This is great. This is awesome. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's nice to get, when you host a podcast, you're putting a message out. You're looking into a camera, into a void. You're talking into a microphone, and there's, other than the guest I'm interviewing, there's just no feedback loop, right? So it's really satisfying when I hear stuff like that. So I really appreciate it. That goes a long way. You've just created another 100 episodes. So yeah.
I got comments on other episodes, so we can talk later.
Okay. He's gonna cut me down, right? My head will come back down to size. No, I appreciate those comments. So let's talk about SMTAI, Surface Mount Technology International. As I discussed during the intro, there's a lot going on. It's the show floor is one thing. And for several years, when I started going, I started in this industry in 1985, and there were a lot of shows in 1985. There was, 12, 15 shows just in North America. And to me, it was all about the floor, the trade show floor, the exhibit floor, standing in a booth, stamping badges, giving demos, shaking hands, kissing babies, all the things you do on a busy trade show floor. A few years later, I discovered that there's actually something at the top of the escalator, and that was the conference area. And that opened up an entire new world of possibilities for me. I could learn and I could teach, eventually. And that is a world of its own. So for those people who attend the shows to see the exhibitors and to see the latest equipment and to make deals and bring purchase orders and all the stuff that happens downstairs, that's amazing. And not much has changed in that world. Upstairs, to some of our younger viewers, this might be a whole new world for you. So we're going to, not at the expense of what's going on downstairs, but certainly we want to introduce people who maybe haven't had a lot of experience at symposia and conferences and things like that, what it's like when you get to the top of the escalator and all of the educational opportunities. And then again, downstairs, there's also a lot of special events that go on beyond exchanging orders and sitting at the front end of a lectern and learning. There's a lot of opportunity to network. So let's kind of get into all that. Let's start with the professional development courses. There are 10. Does anyone have any particular courses that excite them that they're interested in, or the general subject interests them? Are y'all familiar with well, I assume our committee would be familiar with the PDCs. Is there anything that kind of stands out, anything you're super excited about?
I've been looking at the list of professional development courses and trying to see if there's any I want to attend. I know that Dave Hillman is doing one on metallurgy, which he knows everything there is to know about solder metallurgy and all of that. So I'm eyeing that one as just sort of, I've been collecting my understanding of metallurgy by applying my physics background and reading what I can, but that seems like a really good opportunity just to get the full picture in one go and really understand what's happening there. Because there's when it comes to I'm from the land of solder, and when it comes to what's going on in there, there's a lot more than just a gray blob sitting there after it's been soldered. So knowing what's going on under the surface is interesting to me. And then I also noticed there were a couple on things related to like semiconductor packaging, advanced packaging type technologies. I know we've been looking into that a lot because, as electronics shrinks and you kind of get this convergence of chip scale packaging and board level assembly and knowing where those meet and knowing what the needs are in those spaces. So those are some I've been eyeing myself.
Yeah. Any other subject matter or specific courses that come to mind?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as Gail. Like you, Mike, I'm a cleaning guy. And so I don't have a lot of the very deep knowledge when it comes to metallurgy or the solder paste and the solder joint reliability work. And so there's a couple I know. Chris Shea's given one, Dave Hillman's given one, and there's one or two others on solder joint and solder paste characterization, reliability, all those studies. And so I think the hardest part is going to be choosing which one to go to, because I don't think you can go to all of them.
You got to clone yourself. We need to develop that technology and then go from there. But yeah, I'm going to plug the Chris Shea one also. I know she's doing, I think it's about methods for testing solders and stuff. And he has developed a really robust plan for how you can go about evaluating a solder. And I think that's definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, I was quite stressed when I'm teaching a course, and I was quite stressed to find out that Dave Hillman is teaching his course at the exact same time across the hall from mine, which means that sucking sound you hear is people leaving my room going to see Dave, and I can't blame them.
Louder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna turn up the boombox, and
we're gonna edit all this out. So
yeah,
bring some pop.
Exactly.
Just
Dave, you never
getting part out.
Dave, you never heard that, right? But I'm like, of all the people, of all the powerhouse people, Dave is I'm not competing with him, but I'm competing for eyeballs, with him. But I think Dave and Chris are certainly powerhouse hitters when it comes to courses and technical content. Not at the expense of the others. The others are very good as well. I mean, you've got to be someplace in your career to be able to stand in front of a lectern for 3.5 hours. What I love about the PDCs, the professional development courses, is the time. I've taught quite a few PDCs, I know you have, Adam, as well. And the luxury of having time is amazing. Now when I present a regular presentation where you're given 30-minute slots all in, including Q&A, by the time I know, by the time I say hello, I've got the 5-minute warning sign coming up. It just goes fast, and I love the freedom that a 3.5-hour deep dive course brings, because it allows lots of time for Q&A. It allows me
engagement
or the audience, a lot of engagement. I can go off track. I can actually, what's not important is what I intended to say. What is important is what the audience wants to hear. And sometimes they're at odds with each other. And when you're in a 20-minute 25-minute slot to speak, you don't have the luxury of going off track or, answering too many questions in the middle of your presentation. So, then you get that stress feeling. I just love the whole long format, and some conferences have 2-hour PDCs. I was at one earlier this year. It was a 2-hour PDC. I think that was the STAR event. Some have 3. This one has 3.5, which is great. It just allows so much time. Before we move on, any other input on the professional development courses? All right. Let's talk about the technical program. Like many conferences, SMTAI breaks down the nearly 100 presentations into categories, which we call tracks: the advanced packaging track, the additively manufactured electronics track, and all the ones I mentioned in the intro. Before we get into any specific presentations that you may want to bring up, are there any specific tracks that excite you, panel, that really, turn on a light bulb in your head?
Yeah, I'm part of the committee over the manufacturing track, and that's the track I present papers as well at this conference, and I've always been grateful for the opportunity to do that. But I find that the manufacturing track really lends itself to sort of engineering-minded people who want to find ways of improving the process or the products that they build using new technologies, or just learning kind of fundamental lessons from those of us who present in that track. So I think it's very valuable. Those are the ones that I get excited about listening to. And they have speakers like Chris Shea and Dave Hillman, and those kind of experts. Those are the people I love to go listen to, pick their brain when I get a chance.
Yeah, I think I actually lose a few pounds every time I watch Chris Shea, because she is so energetic. She's just a bundle of energy. It's like going to the gym, in terms of the energy it takes to keep up with her, right? And you're not just going to fall asleep in your chair. You are turning 360 degrees because she's walking the audience. She's, very energetic in her presentation. It's not just technical skill. It's the presentation capabilities. She has an art to it. Dave Hillman is less energetic, but also has a good flair for throwing some corny dad jokes into the thing, which some people don't like, but I think engineers, the threshold for comedy is very low when it comes to a lot of engineers. So those types of things just land really well in our community. Any other specific tracks that excite any of you?
To segue into that.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just say the segue there was, mention Dave again, Dave. But
Marsha.
Solder joint voiding. Yeah. That's why he's got the Founders Award. He's been a huge contribution to SMTA. But the solder joint voiding track, I think it's one of the reliability tracks. I probably get asked more about solder joint voiding on a day-to-day basis than I do anything else. And I tell the younger engineers, you gotta have the understanding, have an opinion on what you think is an issue with solder joint voids, because if there's a failure, the first thing people are going to do, are they're going to x-ray the board, and they'll look at the BGA solder balls, they'll look at the bottom terminated components, they'll say, we see voids. We think that's our issue. Yeah. That's the first thing that they can see. And, there's a couple people presenting, Dave being one of them, Keith, Brian, I thought that one, he's talking about voids and like plated through holes. That's another big one that comes up. Ben Gumpert as well. And then Colette from, I believe from Collins Aerospace. That's going to be one I'm going to be sitting at the entire track, taking good notes, or making my younger engineers take notes for me, and I just kind of sit back and listen.
This is not a numbered episode. This is a special episode. But if it were a number, it would be number 182. And a good part of the 181 episodes prior to this one have been on the subject of voiding. It's the subject that won't die. Because the issue of voiding has not been completely solved. We're not at 100% coverage. But the other side of that is the general lack of consensus over how much coverage is minimum required. IPC has some standards on that, but there are people who would argue those standards. There are people who say, hey, 10% coverage is all you need. As long as the part doesn't melt down and doesn't fall off, that's all you need. So it's interesting how the concept, and you kind of alluded to it, Tom, how many people may blame an issue that they see, although there may not be real causation there, right? They see something. It's like medical doctors are against sending healthy people for routine MRIs because it might find something, and then you try and deal with that something, and that something is, benign. And I've had people on my show talk about the fact that something's not working right. So they x-ray the board and they see, aha, there's a void. That must be it. And it may be, and it may not be. But I do have a theory on voiding. I think x-ray causes voiding because before x-ray, there were no voids, right? So think about that.
I'll apologize for all of us solder paste and X-ray manufacturers. Yeah. We're the ones who created the funds and the stir about voiding. I'm convinced the reason why limits are getting lowered for all of you poor manufacturers, I'm sorry, is because we keep talking about it.
Yeah, I know.
You keep asking us for help with it, and then we keep talking about it. I'm also presenting a paper on voiding at the conference, so sorry about that.
Yeah, I would say definitely hit up Dave Hillman's presentation on that too. I know that we did a webinar recently on BTC voiding, and I referenced some of his work where he basically tries to look at different levels of voiding and whether there's actual, like, once you run those boards through all the testing, can you tell the difference in the performance based on the voiding levels? And the basic answer was, as long as voiding's below a certain percent, it doesn't seem to make a difference. Whether you're at 25% or 10%, or it's like the same performance. So, yeah, that's definitely something to look at.
And Mike, aren't you doing the voiding town hall?
Yeah. Yes. Dave Hillman and Richard Coyote and myself, I'm not really part of it. I'm just the technical crew. We're turning it into a Reliability Matters podcast, and we'll be recording the town hall, and that should be interesting. They did it for the first time last year, and they kind of did it on a whim. They would say it wasn't all that well planned out, and they couldn't get people to leave. It just went on and on and on and on, and there was a huge amount of engagement with the town hall. So they're doing it again this year with a little bit more planning and promotion, and that's one of the reasons we're turning it into a podcast episode. A, it's a hot topic, and B, there's still just a lot of debate in terms of should we have a number? I always worry about numbers. If someone says, okay, the number is 30% voiding max, and I get 31, does that mean the part's no good? Adam and I have dealt with the same issue for years when it came to what used to be the cleanliness spec. 1.56 is the limit. Oh, we got 1.57. It's dirty. Oh, we got 1.55. Ooh, it was almost dirty. It really is more shades of gray than anything else. But that's why we keep talking about it. And that's why we keep refining it. And I think as the years go by, as we get farther and farther away from the introduction of BGAs and other BTCs, we're getting a lot more data and a lot more anecdotal data that we can make smarter decisions and maybe even look at contextual situations like, hey, if it's going into a electronic flea collar for your dog, 90% voiding is probably okay. And if it's going on a guidance system on a cruise missile, maybe 98% coverage is better, 2% voiding. So those are things that will keep that particular track and subject going, I think, for years to come. And it'll probably be another 30 or 40 episodes on this show as well. Any up?
The industry evolves and you start getting like smaller devices and smaller solder joints. Will the voiding percentage need to change for that too, right?
Right. Kelly
Nothing
or
stays
Moss,
the same.
what particular tracks excite you or fall into your wheelhouse?
For me,
Well,
they're
if I can
reliable.
come back and
Go ahead. We'll start with Kelly and then we'll go to Moss.
I was going to say, we've been talking about the reliability in harsh environment for me. So that's the track that I'm helping on. And it's always, for me, it's always interesting to hear what other people consider harsh environments. So for us, it's usually corrosive gases and oil and gas and pulp and paper and automotive type things. But then you think about electronics people are wearing. There's a talk about somebody talking about drilling in like oil platforms or things that have to withstand 200 degrees Celsius and high pressures and shock and stuff like that. And sometimes I think even if we're not selling into those applications, you can learn little glimmers of things of how they ruggedize their electronics that might apply to us too. So I think it's always interesting to hear.
Yeah. In fact, I think that's where I saw you last, was the electronics and was the cleaning and coating conference. I think that's what
Yep.
it was, which is, clearly harsh environments are a deep topic there. I know Adam and I regularly attend and participate in the Electronics and Harsh Environments Conference, which is an annual event in Amsterdam. Yeah, we all hate to go there, but we're taking one for the team. But that
Funding.
is, yeah, but
Funding to go to Amsterdam.
yeah, we got to do it. Nothing harsh environment about Amsterdam. But to your point, Kelly, what is a harsh environment? A harsh environment for one board design for one board may not be a harsh environment for another. It really depends upon a whole number of factors. It's a relative thing. I mean, there are downhole, applications in Houston. There are areas where you have, sulfur gases and whatever. I mean, clearly those are harsh environments probably for any application and any design. But there are some, I think as boards continue to miniaturize and standoff heights continue to decrease and densities continue to increase, the definition of harsh environment makes more sense because if you have a through-hole board with nothing but axial-leaded components that are literally a quarter inch or half an inch apart from each other, the conductors, you could probably put that board in salt water and it'll continue to operate facetiously. But you take a board populated with QFNs and micro BGAs and a lot of UHDI stuff on it, and you have a dirty thought in your head and it might fail. It's definitely relative, and I think that today harsh environment and reliability are key subjects because of IoT, Internet of Things, which I describe as the process of taking electronics and putting it in things that don't need it, never had it, no one wants it, but we do it because we can. And that's probably half the chip shortage is the waste of stupid stuff, going out into the field. But when IoT started rolling out and becoming widespread, so did the locations where electronics went. In the early days of electronics were inside in protected enclosures, and now they're going everywhere, right? They're wearables, and it's just amazing what has an embedded device in it these days. There are toothbrushes that connect to your Wi-Fi that narc on little Sally or Johnny, and they have devices in it that can detect the G-forces and the duration and the time and frequency that the toothbrushes were used and create reports on it. And I can't think of a much harsher environment than electronics and a toothbrush, but they're there. So I think that's definitely a hot topic, and I agree with you, Kelly. That's one that interests me a lot. Moss, any particular subjects that or tracks that attract you?
Yeah, so again, just to come back on a few points made, and I'll refer back to the void reduction. So it is a symbiotic relationship, as Tony referred to, for young engineers. They can go to the PDCs, then they can follow up with more specific topics in the actual tracks. And for example, on void reduction, and call out that Tony is a speaker of distinction and is also the 24 member of technical distinction in our midst, and will be presenting on filling the void as well, to acknowledge that. And I'm looking forward then that you can take that into the town hall and have such fantastic, engaging discussions with the speakers, with individuals from many different applications, different industries, as Kelly highlighted, from aerospace to networking to automotive, all engaged, all discussing topics that they've heard in the PDCs or preceding actual presentations with the actual speakers. It's such an amazing opportunity for engineers to engage with each other. And then subsequently, the shop on the floor at the exhibition, and not forgetting the social side as well. So it's a marriage of many different aspects coming together in that, as I refer to, as a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, and Moss, for my audience's benefit, you are in the auto industry, on the electronic side of the auto industry. So clearly subjects like voiding and harsh environments and reliability land in your world quite heavy, correct?
Yeah, so we live every day miniaturization, chip scale packaging, as Gail referred to, and then as Kelly has highlighted, those rugged environments which are mission critical, ensuring that you achieve the board level reliability. So solar giant thermal cycling, solar giant reliability is critical, and we work day to day as ever increasing harshness with new mission profiles, service lives from different applications, increasing sensor technology, requiring increased miniaturization, packaging density, all continuing to evolve and at a faster rate than we have ever seen in the last few years, as we see with robotaxis and so forth, such technology.
As we kind of move away from the tracks, are there, and go into the actual presentations, there's approximately, give or take, 100 technical presentations, which is amazing for this event, for any event for that matter, and they fall into those tracks. Are there any specific, and you may have already outed some, but are there any specific presentations in any track, even tracks that maybe you're not involved in professionally, that excite you? Anyone?
So the first day, and I apologize because this overlaps again with your PD course.
There we go. I'm just going to phone it in.
The entire day is dedicated to additive manufacturing. And you mentioned it in the preview. Mike Matthews is presenting about his company, or the company he works for, called Fabricate Labs. And if you've looked them up or heard of them, what he's doing is the company is utilizing copper plating, so like a process that we utilize all the time in PCB, in the PCB world, to create three-dimensional parts. And it's a pretty neat process, and I'm sure he's going to go into detail on how that works. So that's the keynote on Monday, and I think if you're around and you're not at the PD courses, definitely something to check out if you haven't seen it before.
Yeah.
That's
the
additive manufacturing track is it's relatively new. I think this is the second or third year that we've had this track, and it was a huge success last year. I mean, there's a lot of participation in it, and of course, I mean, why not? It's a very cool technology, in my opinion, and so I mean, it's exciting, all the hype and attention that it's getting.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because that whole topic simmered for a while, I heard of, it's been talked about for several years, but on a kind of underground, kind of low level, buzz about it. And it seems to have just kind of taken off as a mainstream kind of hot topic lately, just the last year or so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, additive manufacturing has been around for decades, but it hasn't been accessible to as many people. I have a 3D printer in my garage that I can go and do anything I want. Obviously, I'm not, building high reliability parts for aircraft with it, but still, I mean, it's something that a lot of people can now relate to, and there's a lot more of these types of conference tracks that are giving more technical information about it. People can learn about it and apply these new technologies. So, like, for example, plating plastic parts, 15, 20 years ago would have been very difficult to do for just, the average person. So, I mean, it's exciting.
So now that you mentioned the plating the plastic parts, a colleague of mine, Maya Chiesa, is going to be presenting on plating 3-dimensional parts, and that's following Mike Matthews there on the first day as well. So it's her first presentation. So hopefully we make her regret ever presenting. So
no, it's a slippery. It's a rabbit hole.
If it goes well, I definitely helped. If it goes poorly,
No, it's a rabbit hole. Once you do your first one, that's it. Then all of a sudden, you're voluntold year after year after year after year. We've all been down that rabbit hole. Any other specific tracks?
Now.
Right. You're a seasoned podcaster now, Tom. Any other specific or particular presentations or events that you guys are excited about? Let's broaden this conversation to events as well.
I'm excited to go to the women's leadership. It's something that I hadn't heard of before, and then they reached out to me to ask me to be on the panel or the roundtable discussions. So I'm excited to be part of that and learn from different people and have like some of those more intimate conversations about what people are struggling with for design for reliability.
Gail, you were going to say something?
Go for the swag bag alone. It's usually very good. But the talks, everything's great. So awesome that Kelly's going to be doing one of the roundtable discussions as well. I'm doing that for the second time this year also. And those are really great. That's basically, there's like a host at each table and a topic for each table. And you just spend 15 minutes just discussing whether it be a specific reliability issue, or I think my table is reworkability, design for reworkability. You just get a lot of ideas and thoughts from different people across different parts of the manufacturing pipeline, so you really understand the topic really well by the end of those conversations. Really great opportunity for networking. But yeah, I mean, men show up too, and they're generally welcome. They're not shunned, and no, it's just a great place.
I do have a complaint though. Last year, a woman stole my swag bag, and I was sitting at a table of all women, and then me, and my bag was on the table, and a woman came up and said, "Can I have your swag bag?" No, she goes, "Is that yours?" I'm like, "Uh-huh." She goes, "Well, you're a man. Can I have it?" I'm like, "Okay." I was like carjacked. I was swag bag jacked.
Yeah, she didn't steal it. You gave it to her.
You gave it to me.
Can I have this, please? Can I have this, please? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. I was victimized, Kelly. Just FYI, and I'm going to hold it again. I lowered the value of my swag contribution this year because I figured I'm not even going to get my own. It'll be stolen. But
if you see me, you can have mine, maybe.
All right. You see, okay.
We'll give you the
All is
not
well.
good items from our swag bags, and we'll collect them together. And a little you can.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure some people go through the swag bag, and given the fact that they got to stick everything in a suitcase and go home, they probably leave a few things in the hotel. But not my stuff, not Kaizen's stuff. We are out of the box thinkers. Let's kind of move into the SYP. SYP, of course, Students and Young Professionals. Adam is the chair of that that committee, and there are several events going on. There's NextGen Connect, NextGen 10, the passport program, and all that. Adam? What's your take on younger people entering our industry? First of all, what took you so long? And everyone was, all the old guys were like,
so I couldn't do anything.
Right. Well, all the old guys like me were like, hey, we're trying to get out of here. We can't leave until someone else comes in, and y'all weren't coming in, and now you are. So what's your take on young people in our industry? And let's just leave the question there. What's your take on that?
Yeah. So I've been attending SMTAI for about 7 to 8 years now, and I'm really happy to see the younger group of newer faces, the engineers, the assemblers, the even people who aren't in the technical jobs attending SMTAI. I love all the conversations that I have with them, and we are really happy that the participation and the engagement in these young professional programs has grown every year. So we've religiously had these SYP programs at SMTI for the last 3 to 4 years. And every year we see increasing engagement numbers, which is fantastic in my opinion. And so that's why we keep doing them and we keep developing newer programs. So for example, we started the passport program a couple of years. This will be the third or fourth year that we've done it. And it's excellent. For those who have never heard of it or don't know what it's about, we ask different exhibitors to act as what's the word that we're using this year? I can't remember. What do we call them?
Ambassadors.
Are they ambassadors?
Yeah, the ambassadors. Right, they're like ambassadors. So they represent their part of the industry. So there are the solder paste manufacturers or cleaning companies or X-ray people or each part of the SMT line, and then we give the students little fake passports, so little blue books that look like passports, and they have to go around to each of those ambassadors and ask them a question. We try to develop the program to make it as simple and stress-free as possible, because we know, especially for younger engineers, it might not be easy to just walk up to someone you don't know and start talking with them. Even harder to ask technical questions and get something out of them. And so we provide all of the participants with a list of like icebreaker questions. So you can go up to, for example, the cleaning people and say, hey, what's the difference between this chemistry and that chemistry? Or what's the difference between, this solder and that type of solder for solder companies? And what is voiding, or what is, different technical icebreaker questions that they can ask. And then so they have to get a stamp on their passport from each of those ambassadors. And then if they turn in a completely filled out passport, then they get entered into a raffle for a prize. The past couple of years, I think the prize has been an iPad. I think this year, I can't remember if Sonia went for the iPad again or for one of those really nice a set of expensive Bose headsets. They have all the cool Bluetooth speakers, noise canceling, all that kind of stuff. But anyways, that's going to be on Wednesday. So we are asking people to show up to the membership booth, which is, I had that booth number around here somewhere, booth 2847 on the show floor. That's where we're going to be giving out all of the initial paperwork, all the questions, the blue passport books, to have people kind of start their journey throughout. So that's Wednesday at 10 a.m. in the membership booth. And then throughout the Wednesday and Thursday, they have those 2 days to go around and talk to all the exhibitors. And then Thursday at 11 a.m. in the membership booth is where we're going to have the that kind of closing ceremony, that award ceremony where everyone comes in. We'll have normally we do trivia. So we're going to ask trivia questions, and we give out Starbucks gift cards to people who answer the questions. And then there'll be the final raffle at the end for the passports. Final prize. And then there are a couple other SYP events that we're holding. There's going to be a resume writing and interview prep session Wednesday at 10:30 in the membership booth. You can come. I'll be there. There will be a couple other members of the SYP committee, along with other industry experts who are going to be available to review resumes. So people can come by, have their resume looked at. They can talk to us, ask us for general tips and tricks. Hey, what's a good way to format this, or what's a good way to say this, or tell me what I should and should not do for a resume. And we're also offering mock interviews, I believe. And so you can kind of give us a little bit of information about an interview that you might be having, and we'll kind of help ask questions and help you kind of tailor your responses. So we're really excited about that. And then also on Wednesday, we have the NextGen 10 award ceremony. So last year was the 40th anniversary of SMTA, right? So we're really excited about that. And we wanted to come up with a program to recognize up-and-coming leadership within the industry. And so we thought, hey, it's the 40th anniversary. Let's do a 40 under 40 program. So we had 40 young individuals who won this recognition. And we got a lot of really good feedback on that. And so we wanted to continue that legacy. And so every year we're starting what's called the NextGen 10. It's a similar concept where we're going to be selecting 10 young individuals who are showing potential leadership excellence in their fields and awarding them this NextGen 10 award. It's similar to the 40 under 40 nomination and prestige. So that's the NextGen 10 program. And then Wednesday night at 7 p.m. at Joe's Live, which is going to be, it's right down the street from the convention center. It's a 5 to 10 minute walk. We're going to have a networking. It's like a networking event. We're calling it NextGen Connect. It's going to be for young professionals only. So those members that are under 40, they have to make sure that they sign up ahead of time, because there's going to be free food and free drinks, and they need to make sure that they can plan accordingly for that. But I'll be making an announcement about the future of this NextGen 10 program. And for those of you who are under 40, you won't want to miss this exciting announcement about what the plans for what kind of benefits we have for that next generation of young individuals who are engaged within the program. So I'm excited about it.
Well, there's a teaser. There's a teaser.
I'm a little offended. Offended all this is happening as I turn 41.
Yeah.
Well, now I've.
How do you think I feel? It's
a little ridiculous.
How do you think I feel at 65? I want the 65 over 65. Next year I'm gonna, and we're gonna have our own swag bag, and we're not sharing it with anybody.
I think we could round down. All right.
Well, I think that every, I speak at as many of you do. I speak at a lot of conferences around the world at SMTA, through SMTA, and I've started to see more and more young people at these events. In some ways, it was a little bit like a Bigfoot sighting. It's like, oh my God, yeah, they do exist, right? They're here. All I saw were footprints. Now I actually see young people, the whole body. And when I was at the Cleaning and Coding Conference in Dallas, and Adam and Kelly, you guys were there, mm-hmm. That was the highest percentage of young people in attendance that I have, I think, ever witnessed, at least in the last couple of decades in my career. Someone opened the door, someone gave them a key, and they showed up. And not only did they show up, they participated. Adam and Elliot, thank you, Elliot Fowler, both gave a very novel style professional development course where it became a group event where there were tasks and the audience had to break up into groups and form tribes and like vote people off the island. And, all day was, a little bit of a survivor mentality. And when I heard about this, I was like, I hope it works. This could be really awesome, or it could just be like, oh my God, this is awful. It was
Tell
awesome.
me about it.
I know, right? I think you were worried too. but it
Oh, yes.
landed. It landed, and I saw young people just stand up and kind of take charge and form groups. And next thing you know, they were coming up with team names, and there was like rivalry between the teams, and it was an amazing experience. I'm sure it'll be the template for the future as well. But to see not just a few young people in a crowd, but actual engaged young people lets me think I'm a little closer to being able to, buy an island and smoke cigars for the rest of my life on that island, and not worry about the state of the industry. I think it's happening, and I'm seeing that both with men and women, and I'm seeing that with all these different generational, ages coming into the industry and leading the industry in many cases.
Yeah, I would add to highlight a couple of other things going on. I know the whole EMAC program is working on a lot of workforce development initiatives, and that's helping engage people who are trying to consider what they want to do for a career to go into the electronics industry. But they're also doing that. What is it called? They've got teams of people putting together these robots for a competition. And a lot of those are college students, people earning engineering degrees and things like that. And that's going to be a big event. I think Wednesday.
Yeah, that's the Bright,
the final.
The Bright Manufacturing Challenge. Yeah, the Bright Manufacturing Challenge. Yeah, that's going to be good. I was really trying to encourage them to if they're going to build robots, build battle bots. I missed that show, where they all beat up each other. But this is going to be interesting.
This is the first year doing it, so maybe next year they'll start weaponizing, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I've actually been tasked with attending that particular event and interviewing the students that are participating and recording the competition. So I'll be ESPN that day. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing it. I do a lot of speaking on college college campuses, not on technical matters, but on entrepreneurial stuff. And I get so much benefit from speaking at college campuses because it's easy to get to form opinions like, this new generation. When you start any sentence with kids these days, you instantly become your father, and I found myself doing that. And like once a year, I go to Dartmouth and I speak to graduating engineering students at Dartmouth. And when I leave there, I come back with 364 days of optimism in front of me. And then, on the day 365, I'm starting to go, kids these days. And then I go back to Dartmouth and I get re-energized. But it's really a great feeling to see young people enter our industry and become involved, not just show up, but actually engage. And they will be the future leaders of our industry. They'll be the future leaders of SMTA. We'll be the, the old dad joke and mom joke people at some point. It happens to all of us. Before we wrap up, are there any thoughts? Let's do a real quick round robin, and then we're actually running out of time, which is great. About the benefit of attending SMTAI or any conference for that matter. What maybe from personal experience, what you've gotten out of it, some of the, what it's done for your career, for your level of learning, for your level of networking. Let's start with Adam, and we'll kind of just go around the circle here.
Well, I'd say I wouldn't be sitting here right now or that first trip that I made to Chicago or 8 years ago or 9, whatever it was. The networking and just being present in the room, listening to people and talking to people. It's kind of it's not appreciated as much as I think it should be, right? Physically being present and I mean, I can go on the internet and learn about waterboarding, but it's much different than, being in the room, listening to Dave Hillman talk about it and then meet him, for dinner and have a discussion about it. And it's done wonders for my career.
Yeah. Tony?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I've always found SMTAI and other conferences to be a great place to exchange knowledge and also to network. Both things are really valuable to me. Like, I appreciate the opportunity to present and to pass on knowledge to people in the industry that don't maybe know as much as I do about certain things, but I also go to learn. Like, I sit in on a lot of technical talks. I listen to a lot of speakers, and I take the conference proceedings and I read people's papers. And then if I have follow-up questions, the speakers have always been really gracious and willing to answer my questions over the phone or via email. And through the years, I've been able to build a network of friends and fellows in the industry that I lean on when I run into things that I don't know. I certainly don't know everything. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to build relationships with folks over the years and to connect with them at the conference. That's a great part of it.
Yeah, I agree. Gail?
Yeah, definitely the ability to meet so many people and connect. So I know Adam mentioned you can always Google something and look it up, but you don't know necessarily what you need to be Googling sometimes, and you're going to come across things that you didn't think about, and then meet people you didn't know existed, and then you learn all about what they're doing, and it sparks a whole lot of new ideas. I learn so much every time I go to a conference and I meet people, and you start to see the same people and you form those relationships, and you're able to do collaborative projects, or it sparks some idea that you wouldn't have had otherwise. There is a lot to be said for being in a place like that versus trying to do any network or engagement in an online space only. It's kind of cliche these days to say we need to touch grass, but there's truth to that. We are human-bodied beings that need to see people and get all those little micro interactions to fully engage and fully form those relationships. So it's a really important event to attend.
Yeah, and last I checked, Google doesn't provide swag bags. So,
Well, Amazon does, so you can order those.
Yeah. Order your swag. Yeah. Tom?
So credit to the SMTA team putting together a show that basically lasts, I always say SMTA lasts from 8 o'clock a.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. at night.
Oh, you're being conservative there, Tom. On the ending time. Yeah.
I think the SMTA conference is probably the most fun conference I go to of anyone, and I tell everyone that. It's centrally located, just Chicago being central to everybody being able to get there. The conference itself seems to kind of really situate itself right in that convention center, couple hotels, right in that area where everyone seems to congregate every day. You get to see, even you go to the show, you see everybody, but then you'll see them after and you'll be able to talk more. I think it's, such a benefit to, like we've talked about a lot, to the younger generation to be able to see, Mike Conrad, CEO of Aqueous, hanging out in the lobby and talk to him for 20 minutes. Or, for Mike, maybe 2 hours.
Fair comment. Yeah, fair comment.
So just really excited to, get there and see everybody. And, now that I'm a celebrity, I will sign autographs.
There you go. Bring your Sharpie. Bring your Sharpie, Tom. Yeah. Moss?
Yeah, I would echo similar. It's such accessibility to speakers and peers, individuals that I, as a young engineer, read their technical papers, as Tony alluded to. It's that interaction then. The town hall for me is such a strong learning environment. It's a platform that you can engage, you can listen. It's really, really powerful. And then overall, it is the social aspect, as Tom has referred to and alluded to. It is really that it's on a professional level, but then again, there's personal. And I've developed so many friends from coming to SMTAI over the years, and they're lasting friendships that I really appreciate. I look forward to many more.
Kelly?
I think what's great about SMTAI is the variety of talks. So you can, even if you think you're an expert in something, you can learn something new. And it's sometimes those like little nuggets that you learn that you can apply in your daily life that's helpful. And then all the networking too. So I agree with that. I've met people that I've leveraged for other things later on, and everybody's always been happy to help me along the way. So definitely networking.
Great. Well, I think the committee and all the people behind the scenes at SMTAI have done an amazing job, both curating content and curating networking opportunities and opportunities to improve one's career and knowledge combined. So kudos to all of you who are part of that. I know, Adam, you're not on the technical committee, but you were certainly curating all these SYP events. And I know you're speaking at the conference. So, you're definitely, part of the success, as is Tony and Gail and Tom and Moss and Kelly and the countless others who are working behind the scenes. Yeah, it's a total team effort. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby. So
That's right.
I'm really looking forward to this year's conference, and I thoroughly enjoyed last year's conference, particularly the 40-year anniversary back to 1984 party. That was epic. We'll be hard pressed to match that this year, but I'm sure we'll try. And I just appreciate all that you guys do, and the generosity for the last hour or so of your time. Thanks for sharing your insights on this event and what you're excited to see, and anecdotes from past events. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you guys are all with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
And that's a wrap on another episode of Reliability Matters. Thanks for hanging out. Whether you listened on your favorite podcast app or watched on YouTube, I really appreciate you being here. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future episodes. On YouTube, give it a thumbs up and a subscribe. Those 2 simple clicks really help us spread our reach. New shows drop every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, so mark your calendar. And a big thanks to PCB Chat from the Printed Circuit Engineering Association at pcbchat.com and Ascendo Reliability at reliability.fm for syndicating the show. Got a question or an idea for a future episode? I'd love to hear from you. Just shoot me an email at mike@reliabilitymatterspodcast.com. And if you want to learn more about the podcast, head over to reliabilitymatterspodcast.com. Thanks again for being here. Until next time, keep learning, keep doing it right, and remember, reliability matters. I'll see you again soon.
Thanks for listening to the Reliability Matters podcast. Join us on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month for new episodes of Reliability Matters.